welcome! Today we're going to be making a super easy and delicious homemade caramel. I'm Chef Jenna, and here's what you're going to need. 1 cup of delicious sugar, 4 tablespoons of butter, and about a 1/4 cup of heavy cream. Yes, it must be heavy cream. 2 more super important ingredients are going to be a rubber spatula and a non-stick pan. Why non-stick? Because it will stick. All right, you're going to take your first leveled 1 cup measure of sugar and pour it into our pan. Nothing is going to happen, but that's okay. All right, we're going to kind of give it a shake, level it slightly, okay, and then we're going to make a hole in the center because, like most people, we're very nosy. All right, and we're going to let this start melting. We want to be on kind of a medium-high setting on your cooktop, and that's going to give us the best results. A couple of quick tips while we're waiting for this to melt. Non-stick pan, super good spatula. Don't worry at the end because you're going to be able to clean it up, so don't worry about it sticking. Also, be mindful of where the heat is getting distributed. So even though we've made a center spot for us to keep an eye on, it may start bubbling from the sides. That's where we're going to start stirring. There's about 100 different recipes for caramel on the internet, and friends, and lots of people have them, but this is the one that I found to be perfect, tried and true every time. Depending on what you're going to use this for at the end, depends on how much fat and butter we need to add, okay? So if we want this to go back hard, we would just melt our sugar down, thus creating caramel, like a lollipop. If we want it to be more saucy, or more like a molten lava, let's say, we're going to go ahead and add our butter and our cream. If we want it to be very, very thin, we just have to make the adjustments from there. All right, we're gonna give it a little kind of shake just to kind of see what's happening and maybe go around the edges. There are some recipes that call for going around the edges with a wet pastry brush, but I found that just going with a dry brush is going to be just fine. All right, this is the patience part where we have to wait for it. Do you like my spatula? It's great. All right, it should be starting to melt here. I see some steam happening from the cooktop. You can also turn your pan around. That's gonna help distribute the heat depending on what kind of pan you have. Some kind of heavy duty non-stick pan. All right, I'm seeing a couple of teeny tiny bubbles happening here. I'm not sure if you can see exactly what's happening, but it just looks like little tiny droplets. That is a good sign. They're going to be clear first, and then they're going to start to turn that nice amber color. Now, also depending on what kind of caramel you like, depends on how long to cook it. There's a soft ball stage, a medium ball stage, and a hard ball stage. We're going for more kind of medium ball stage. All right, I'm going to start moving a little bit on the edges here. That seems to be the hot spots for me. And of course, wherever there's more sugar, it's going to take longer to melt. We have melty action. All right, I think I've got a little hole kind of working over here. So we're gonna push that around. You're gonna start to see the sugar start getting stuck on your spatula. Again, that's totally fine, totally okay. It'll start to come off, and whatever's left over at the end, I'll show you a cool trick to getting it out of your pan. All right, you might be able to see the steam. It's a little hard to see. That means it's starting to get more melted. And we're just about ready to start stirring. You can see it moving slowly here. We can give that just a little stir with just the tip of the spatula. Just in the center here. If you start to incorporate too much sugar in with the melted sugar, you're going to end up with big lumps. We don't like it lumpy. All right, we're starting to get a little bit of color. If you get worried or you're like, just take it off the heat. Give it a second to start cooling down, that's okay too. Just work in the edges. All right, so you see we're just going in where it's already been previously melted. Got a little one starting on this side too, so we'll give that just a little loving. All right, now every time you do take it off the heat though, the temperature is dropping. So we do want to make sure we give it time to start to come back up and make it easy to stir. Look at that. All right, this is something that requires lots of time and attention. So don't try to make this at the same time you're taking the dog for a walk and, you know, making dinner and calling all your friends. Give it all the attention it deserves. All right, we're gonna start stirring still in that one spot, but a little bit quicker now. I'm lifting the pan slightly, adjusting for where I see the heat. I'm gonna start to bring this one together and see if we can combine these two spaces. We're getting a nice yellow color. It's looking really lovely. All right, and again, we're on about a medium-high heat, only stirring where the sugar has melted. This is one of those times where you think the pan is hot, but you can't really tell. So you need to use all your senses, right? Normally when we cook, we hear things, we smell things, sometimes we touch things. If you were to touch this right now, this is probably about 500 degrees. You would most certainly get a 3rd degree or 4th degree burn, if that's a thing. So please, please do not stick your finger in here and try to check it or stick it on here. You will be very, very sorry. All right, it's completely melted. This is looking beautiful. So again, if we were to just stop right here, we could pour it on a nice Silpat mat, non-stick silicone, and you would end up with a nice caramel lollipop. But we're gonna make this into a sauce now, so we need to introduce some fat. Now again, I talked about on the heat, off the heat, and it being too hot for touching, right? You're gonna see in just a minute why I said that. We've got about 4 tablespoons of butter we're using here today, and we're gonna slowly introduce them one at a time, making sure it doesn't get too greasy. So we're gonna start with our first one here. And you can see just how hot that is. Now I'm doing this off the heat because I wanna really work in that fat. We don't want it to be greasy. Give it a shake like they do in the restaurant, but be very careful. If a bit spills on you or splashes up on you, it will be very bad. All right, we're gonna go for our next one, working quickly. Back on the heat, because remember, when we take it off, it cools down. Scraping the edges. Controlling the pan, controlling the heat. Believe me, this will be worth it at the end. We can already see it kind of creating a sauce. All right, that's looking really nice. We're gonna go in with our remaining butter, one at a time. Working quickly. It's stuck. All right, we're gonna go in with our final fat, which is our heavy cream. And you're gonna see really where the magic happens. Ooh, yes, look at that. Beautiful. All right, this is gonna help keep it from when it's going back cool to solidify so that it stays this nice caramel sauce. Ooh, yeah. All right, I'm gonna go in with my final bit. All right, and keeping careful that you're not burning yourself, keeping careful that you're away from the fire and the flames. All right, I'm turning my heat off. I have electric here, so I've got a lot of residual heat that's happening. So remember, don't leave the pan here. When you think it's ready and done, move it to the side to cool, and you've got delicious caramel sauce. I'm gonna let this bubble just about 20 seconds more. That's looking nice. All right, I've taken my caramel off of the heat, off of my fire, off of my induction, off of my gas. Be careful, guys. Make sure you're not getting your hands or anything near that hot area because it's gonna stay hot for quite some time. And as you can see, this is still bubbling and boiling. Please don't touch it with your fingers. If you wanted to make a salted caramel, just go ahead and add some of your salt into the mix. Flaky sea salt, Maldon salt is really nice, or just a nice pink Himalayan salt. And you've got salted caramel. Look at this. Oh, I could drink it. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. As always, Chef Jenna here. Come back and see us and enjoy your delicious caramel.